Hi everyone, it is attorney Lisa Wentz. Yes, I'm driving, but I'm being safe. My phone is on a car mounted dash, and I am stuck in bumper to bumper traffic in Palm Beach. For those of you who follow me or know me in real life, you know that I spend most of my time at my house. Spend most of the time at my house and the office. Most of what I do is via Zoom because I primarily mediate, and in most counties throughout Florida, we are still on Zoom for a very fair amount of things, and the majority of our litigation is done by Nazarena. So I don't have to get out and about much today, and today I was out and in court, and I was in Palm Beach today in court, which I haven't been to court in Palm Beach in a couple of years now, and it's always an interesting experience to litigate in a different county, which is what I thought I would go live about. It is really important for you to ask around and get a feel for what your judge is like or what the county is like that you are having litigation in. And that is true for people representing themselves, and it's also true for attorneys. Even in counties where you're super familiar, nowadays with the way that judges get transferred and switched around, and our very, very high turnover rate in family court, we have new judges all the time. And knowing your judge, knowing the kind of vibe of a county is so important. So you want to make sure that if you're working with an attorney, that the attorney that you are working with is either familiar with the judge or has asked around and gotten some information about the judge and or the magistrate, and get a sense of how they handle cases, because a specific judge or magistrate absolutely makes a huge difference in family court. You have to realize that for family cases, they're very, very, very subjective. So they're super fact-based, and there are obviously procedural rules that have to be followed, and that's going to be true no matter what judge you're in front of. But in terms of taking those rules or laws and applying them to facts and making decisions about the outcome of a case, it's very subjective, you guys. So a judge could rule one way, another judge could rule another way. For that matter, the same judge could rule two different ways on two different days because of whatever mood it is that they are in. So it really is important for you to understand your judge. And fortunately or unfortunately, I mean, judges are human, and I think this is true no matter where you are. The reality is that some of your decision making and some of your strategy in your case is going to be dependent upon who your judge is and how that judge handles specific things. So you guys just be mindful of that. I have clients that really have a hard time grasping that because they feel like that judges should be neutral, and they should be neutral, and I think for the most part they are neutral, but they're humans. And family law, again, is super subjective. People could see the same facts multiple different ways. So being familiar with those kinds of things and using that as part of your strategy is really a good idea. And I will also say that I have gotten some comments in the last couple of weeks about my use of the word strategy. And I get the feedback a little bit to the extent that there's sort of this, long-standing idea that attorneys look at their job as a game, and the word strategy perhaps sort of emphasizes that or highlights the idea that it's a game. It's not a game at all. It is a job, but you do need to have a strategy. I mean, your strategy has to take into consideration a lot of different factors. It has to take into consideration who your judge is, what your goals are, what the likelihood of success is, what your financial resources are, what the other side's disposition is, how serious the facts are. I mean, all of those things go into play in coming up with a strategy. So I get that you may want a lawyer who is cooperative and reasonable and going to give you level-headed advice and all of those kinds of things. I want those things for you too. But you also want a lawyer who's going to strategize with you and who is going to come up with a strategy for success. And part of that is going to be taking into consideration who your judge is. So leaving Palm Beach for this live hearing today, where I haven't been in a while, I'll just give a little bit of feedback. I find that Palm Beach is a lot more procedurally strict than Broward County is. And I feel like Miami is even less procedurally strict than Broward. It's kind of like the further south you go, the wilder it gets a little bit, at least for South Florida. Palm Beach, in some ways, I like that they are super strict procedurally, because when courts follow and judges follow the rules very strictly, it makes it easier for us to predict what's going to happen, because we have a good understanding of what's getting in and how things are going to be taken and considered. An example of this would be that I was at this emergency hearing today, which was noticed on a motion that I filed in December. Well, between then and now, a lot of things happened, so I filed an amended motion, and there was no amended notice that stated that we were going to hear my amended motion today. So in Broward County, because the basic substance of the motions were the same, I think the courts probably would have entertained my amended motion and amended findings as well. But in Palm Beach, no, it wasn't noticed for that, and I agreed with the judge. It wasn't noticed for it, and notice is important. It's a constitutional right. I'll post a video on that a little bit later, but so my amended motion didn't get heard today, but the original did, and as a result, it was a huge success. You guys can check out my last post for how today went and what it was about. All right, cool, you guys. Traffic has cleared up, so I'm going to sign off.